Okay. Hi. Thank you for meeting with me at this time. I'm glad that that this worked for you, and I hope this time continues to work for you. Otherwise, we can kind of, play with our schedules and whatever works. But just to start off, I'll just kind of tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Lee Ann, and which is the name that I prefer to be called. Gender pronouns are she or her. I have, let's see, I can first, with that said, I just kind of talk about my practice and education background. I'd actually started out as a psychology major and then had switched to social work with a double minor, one in psychology and the other in substance abuse counseling. Currently working on my MSW, but the majority of my experience is with populations who are experiencing severe and persistent mental illness and/or addiction. And I have, let's see, about 5 or 6 years, probably closer to 6 years, working with those populations. Yeah. And so I guess, yeah, that's just kind of a little bit about, my education and practice experience. And I also want to learn as much about you and some of your background and experience. And then also, I would like to talk about our goals for supervision. And I would like to make that a collaborative process. And then speaking of supervision, I have had almost a year and a half of experience as a supervisor. So I've had a little bit of experience, not too much, but still just kind of working on, those relationships. So just starting out for you and I definitely want to talk about our goals. And then also talk about, yeah, like I said, the education and that background. So some goals that I have are to be able to, you know, kind of, expand upon current skill sets and to learn and grow from them and learn from each other as we're building our supervisory relationship, and then which will ultimately better serve our clients. What are as I'm mentioning some of these things, what are some thoughts you have about goals, or some aspects that you might see as goals for supervision?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would also like to use our supervision to kind of um, build on my skills, and also I would like help um, for kind of identifying new skills and opportunities that I could reach to like get more skills and grow kind of in different ways. Because one thing about one thing that's really important for me is that I'm keep growing and I'm gaining like new skills. Even though I work really hard and I enjoy you know I've enjoyed all the work that I've done. I do get bored sometimes. I get bored, especially if I'm not growing in
Mhm.
new ways.
Right, right. So I guess kind of going off of that. So based on those goals, and kind of looking at previous supervisory relationships, what has worked well for you in those experiences, and what maybe hasn't?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. It's interesting because I've worked with like a number of different supervisors, and some were more detail oriented, and others were more kind of big picture person. I feel like I enjoyed working with all of them. They were, I think, even though their styles were different, I think it worked. Like both styles worked okay for me because because um because I enjoy their personalities or the way they treated me because of kind of their overarching philosophy of like um like working there for their role as a supervisor.
Mhm.
So um I think I think especially like after I think once there is trust between us, I think um like uh either style would usually work for me. But I think when it comes to kind of direct service, I think I would appreciate kind of more towards kind of bigger picture, a little bit away from detail because I do have some experience, and I'm kind of really excited to kind of see the big picture and think about how to address kind of more like environmental factors.
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think um, that, all those aspects are really important in, you know, to consider when moving forward in a supervisory relationship, things that have worked well. And I do, one of the first things that you had mentioned was trust. And I think that's incredibly important. You have to, um, you know, be able to trust in your supervisor to provide that guidance and sense of direction, and then also to be able to have that sharing um, capabilities or abilities within that relationship. I guess I would agree with all of those aspects. I think um, those are also ways in which a supervisor relationship has worked well, and yeah. Yeah. So again, thank you for sharing that. And I didn't mention this earlier, but if anything that we talk about, or if I ask questions or anything, feel free to share as little or as much as you'd like. I should have said that earlier, so my apologies. But so thank you
thanks.
for sharing. Yeah, yeah. That's yeah. Um, let's see, are there ways in which, you learn best within a supervisory relationship?
Yeah, so I found myself I learn best by kind of doing things. So I am a visual learner more than like you know audio or textile. So I do um, I do well with kind of written information,
Mhm.
um, but I think after that I learned best kind of actually trying things out myself,
Mhm.
and once I kind of have some visual information and I have the opportunity to kind of try it out, I usually pick things up very quickly.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's definitely important aspect to know, because I want to do what I can to help you, and vice versa. I'm also a very hands-on person. Um, it's very hard for me, if someone shows me something and then, tells me to do it, I just need to do it myself. Which
Yes. Yeah, same.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So I guess just kind of moving forward. So um, some theoretical models or aspects that have informed my work up until this point. Definitely person-centered, um, you know, theories, and then also trauma-informed care practices and theories have largely influenced my work, and just kind of understanding the individual and what they might be coming from, what traumas they may have experienced and whatnot, and fully understanding that while working with them and being sensitive to that. That has definitely, strongly influenced my work. Um, yeah. Is there anything, I guess, from your experience, is there intervention models that you typically like to use when working with clients?
Hmm. Yeah. So I like to use the person and the environment perspective and kind of like systems theory. So looking at both like the individual and the environment in a given situation. Um, and I'm also kind of learning to use more of the trauma informed perspective as well. So I'm kind of excited that you have been already using that quite a bit, and I would love to learn more from you about those.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, awesome. Um, yeah, I think that those are definitely, we could definitely learn from each other, utilizing some of those theories or interventions when working with clients to be able to better assist them and have those understandings of all, of those theories. Awesome. Okay. Um, let's see. Um, So as we have been talking, and again, feel free to, share as much or as little. But, you know, I know this being our first supervision session, that we've talked a lot about your work, your past experience, and what's important to you in supervision. But something else that I think is really important to bring up within a supervisory relationship are issues of identity. And thinking about that in the context of our work together, our similarities and differences, as well as how that might have, influence our work with clients. What are your thoughts on about all of that?
That sounds important. Yeah, I agree that our identities are a big part of what we do as social workers.
Hmm. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. So I think, I'll just start and share, about myself. So, I'm a younger, white, um, female who, values aspects like independence and, um, just having, I don't know, yeah, just valuing independence and but I also value culture and different cultures, and I think it's really important and actually, really amazing to learn about, different cultures, and it's important to be open-minded and compassionate and understanding, and so those are definitely a lot of my values. And as far as, identifying myself, important aspect that I want to be known is that, just um, the aspect of being a younger female. And but then also being aware that I am a white female and just those automatic privileges that come along with that, and being aware of how, my work with others and how that might affect them, both negatively and positively. So I think that's important to explore and to mention. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I think I also kind of realize that there are certain privileges that I have that I need to be kind of remind myself when working with diverse clients. And and the power differentials that might potentially exist. And yeah, I'm glad that we can use this space to kind of openly discuss those.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, how do you, so you know, your values, beliefs, and personal experiences, how do you think that those affect the way you see your role as a social worker?
Yeah, so actually, I was thinking about this, and um, there was a time when I was kind of working, started working with clients one-on-one. I realized I felt like I was being disrespected all the time, and and it was, it took me a while to realize that was kind of like where, something that was coming from my cultural background, and the differences between myself and my clients in our backgrounds. In kind of like, still I think this a lot, but I'm able to kind of adjust it a little bit. But yeah, in my in my Korean culture, we so respect is very important. It's kind of, even in language, like there are different words for the same words, but there's a different word for almost every like word you can use that can indicate a different level of respect.
Okay.
Um, and so I realized that respect might actually be at a higher it's it's more like at a higher um like higher value, more important value than other, compared to like other values, um compared to in Korean culture, more so than American culture. So yeah, and then I also learned, just kind of talking about this with colleagues. I find it really helpful to kind of be able to talk about these with my supervisors and colleagues. Um, I uh, someone told me like, well, in America, respect is not given; it is earned. Um, and it was a very interesting kind of comparison of the
Mhm.
culture, different cultures, about respect. Because yeah, I think respect is more, kind of, things start out more with like respect. Especially I think, in especially in professional settings. Uh, Whereas, I mean, I think it makes sense too. That respect, um, in America might be more earned. Different historical contexts and different values. But that is something that I realize, you know, might kind of come from, like, might kind of show how, like, my cultural identity can sometimes affect how I operate as a social worker. Yeah, so I'm always kind of thinking about those things. And again, I'm really kind of thankful to have this opportunity to think through these things with you
Yeah.
in
Thank
the
you for
future.
sharing. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I think, looking back, I had even mentioned independence as a value, and I feel like that is a very, I don't know, it's a bigger aspect in American culture, and it's like, well, why didn't I, go straight towards something, like respect or like, because those are incredibly important values, and so I think even just in our conversation here, just noticing kind of some of those cultural backgrounds and those differences and everything. So thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's definitely you can learn a little bit more by being able to talk openly about these things and to be able to share. So I appreciate you sharing. and sharing that part of yourself. Um, so I think, do you have any, as I'm looking over my things, do you have any questions for me at all, or?
Not right now. I think yeah, I was wondering like how often we'd be meeting and like how um yeah, like how regular kind of this meeting would happen.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I guess typically, I've done it in a way where, you'd meet weekly for the first couple of weeks and then move to,
Mhm.
bi-weekly and everything. And of course, that's up to the individual. And I want to make myself available, as much as you feel comfortable, because I don't want to, provide you with too much, but then not enough either. Um,
Right. Okay.
so maybe for moving forward, we could do bi-weekly, but then we can always adjust and kind of figure that out and according to your needs or anything like that. So yeah,
Great. That
yeah.
will work great. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much again for sharing everything. I look forward to, um, you know, learning from one another and a chance to grow in our work, assisting those that we serve. So, um, yeah, thanks again. Yeah, I think other than that, I think that's all I have. Yeah. Okay, so if you
Great.
don't have any other questions, then we'll meet again in another couple of weeks.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.